Currency risk is really exposure to foreign exchange risk. And an organization might have direct or indirect exposure. Let me give you some examples, starting off with direct exposure. So with direct currency risk, it's really the risk that the currency of the loan advanced and the earnings of the company may be different. So for instance, with a South African company, it may borrow US dollars from abroad, but it's generating rand. Now, in order to be able to pay back the US dollar loan, there'll be exposure to the rand fluctuating against the US dollar. And when the rand is 8 rand to 1 US dollar, the repayment is highly affordable. But if the rand is 14 rand to the US dollar, the company that has borrowed the money is going to struggle to make good in terms of the US dollar repayments. That is a form of direct currency risk. There's also indirect currency risk. Indirect currency risk is where an organization or a company is borrowing in the local currency and is earning in the local currency and therefore can repay, but they're exposed to foreign exchange fluctuations because the exchange rate affects key elements of their business. So they may not have direct US dollar, euro, yen, or whatever currency exposure. But when those currencies change versus the domestic currency, they've got indirect exposure. And that results in them being affected positively or negatively. The last thing you have to think about with currency risk, especially on the African continent, is repatriation risk. In a lot of countries, there are still capital controls. So your ability to move money out of the country, either to settle bills or to invest in other jurisdictions, is highly regulated. And sometimes if a lender extends credit to a company which is in a country which has got this repatriation risk, the company which has borrowed the money may want to repay, but they are unable to source hard currency, US dollars, from the domestic market in order to be able to repay the lending institution. So the lending institution becomes exposed to what we call repatriation risk because there are challenges with the capital account. There isn't enough foreign exchange in the country and they cannot get their money out.